Hello, I'm Trevor Alonso. Well, I decided to review something scary for Christmas this year. I'm reviewing the one Christmas episode of Tales From The Crypt, called An All Through the House. Tales From The Crypt was an anthology series on HBO in the 90s, which was based on the EC comic book stories. This was only the second episode, which is based on Vault of Horror issue number 35. The story is only 4 pages long. You can find a read-along on YouTube. The episode was released on June 10th, 1989. This episode is loaded with big names. Robert Zemeckis of Back to the Future was directing it. Fred Decker and Stephen Dodd were the writers. Few of Decker's credits are Night of the Creeps, Monster Squad, and RoboCop 3. The episode stars Mary Ellen Trainor, Zemeckis' then wife, as Elizabeth Kamen. The plot is about Elizabeth killing her husband on Christmas Eve with a fireplace poker, so she can get the insurance money, while her young daughter is trying to stay up because she's excited about Santa showing up. At the same time, a maniac is on the loose dressed as Santa Claus, killing people with an axe. Larry Drake, who's best known for playing the bad guy in Darkman, and Dr. Giggles, plays the maniac in this episode, and he gives it his all. Elizabeth does come up with the idea of pinning the murder on the maniac, but of course that involves trying to make it look like her husband was killed with an axe. So problems ensue when she's trying to pin the murder on the maniac. And of course, the maniac shows up to the cabin. Now, that's as far as I'm going to go in detail. It's pretty short, it's pretty good, and the less you know about it going in, the better. Heck, I'm not even going to do spoilers. You can actually find this episode on YouTube in full. Again, it's not very long. It's about 22 minutes without the intro. But of course, I always like watching the intro to any episode of Tales from the Crypt. Now, this short story was adapted before for the Tales from the Crypt movie back in 1972. At that time, Joan Collins was playing Elizabeth. Now, the two different versions are very different. In fact, I watched them back to back. One of the big differences is that in the 72 version, Joan Collins is trying to make it look like her husband had an accident rather than trying to pin it on the killer Santa. Fun fact, Mary Ellen Trainor was in all 4 Lethal Weapon movies. In fact, in part 2, everyone is actually watching this episode in the movie. The 1972 version of this is actually on YouTube. Both versions are good and scary, and they do have an intensity of what's going to happen next. Is she going to be saved by the police? Or is she going to get caught when being saved by the police? Or worse yet, what's going to happen to the daughter? But if you were to pick one or the two, I would pick the episode Tales from the Crypt. I give the episode a 10 out of 10 axes. While the 72 version isn't as intense, I still give it an 8 out of 10 axes. Go check them out. Thank you for watching my video.